Take us through what life was like the last few years before you actually got sober.
I did not want to get sober. I had no intention of getting sober. I would like, I grew up Jewish. I believed in God, like in theory. I would sometimes say a prayer, but I never saw any results from that. Like my life was not good. And I did know that. I wasn't like actively suicidal, but I didn't care if I lived. My life had like become nothing and I lost everything. But I was not ready to stop. I was kind of forced into a vaccine during COVID. And I got a vaccine, and within 72 hours, I was 100% paralyzed from the waist down. Like, I could not walk, and I had a catheter, and I was in the hospital for the next 8-9 months. And not even like in physical therapy, putting me in a wheelchair. I was a fall risk, and I was bedridden for about 8 or 9 months, which pretty much is when my detox happened. And the longest time I'd been sober. I had no choice. When I first got there, I just kept wondering when I was going to get out. I didn't even actually care that I was paralyzed. I honestly was so detached from like and distorted view of reality that like, I was like, I can't get my drugs in here. Like, I need to get out, even though my whole family was like, well, this is kind of good. This will be like a catalyst for change. She's not going to use ever again now. Like she knows. And I was like, what the fuck else am I going to do? I'm paralyzed. Like, of course I'm going to get high all day. What up? What else? But so I was there, and my drug of choice was nitrous, which I think at first everybody just assumed it was like an overdose. I did have like several complications because of that, but it did turn out they found the antibodies. It was this thing called Guillain-Barré, and that's GBS, and it's basically a degenerative nerve disorder. So I was paralyzed, and I had neuropathy from the lower body. My upper body was fine. And they were not sure if it would get better or not, especially if I continued using the nitrous.
What shot did you take? It was the COVID shot, the vaccine?
Yeah, the COVID Johnson & Johnson.
And you took it, and then...
I had a family member who had a brand new baby, the first one in that generation. It was my first niece. They were out in California. They were taking it very seriously. And I got a call like, hey, come out here, but you got to get the shot because baby is an infant. She cannot. And like, you're going to need to take a COVID test before you come by every single morning. And because I was flying also at a time when like people weren't even really flying yet. So it was like a big scare that all the family was like coming in and whatnot. And so on the way to the airport, I was taking a red eye to California from Miami. I stopped at the CVS. I got the COVID Johnson & Johnson. I signed my life away. I didn't read it. I didn't
read it.
I didn't do much research on it. I didn't think twice about it. I'd gotten vaccines as a kid. Like, I was not an anti-vaxxer, but probably wouldn't have gone to get it. I had been self-isolating for so long, I wasn't going to see anyone. So I was not worried. And everybody hated me at that point. So like, even being invited, I was like, fine, I'll get the goddamn shot. Like, they figured I wouldn't and was probably hoping that they could then ban me and I wouldn't be there. But I did it. And when I got off the plane, also when I was there, I also got the flu shot. They kind of basically, it's crazy, the pharmacy world. They kind of were like, it's free. You should get it. The flu is really bad this year. It's a little bit colder in California. Like, you should get it. And it's free. Like, we're already giving you the COVID shot. We'll do the flu shot in the other arm. The antibodies for the flu shot were not strong. It's from COVID. But by the time I got off the plane, maybe 8-9 hours later, my feet felt like they were asleep. I felt like a little weird, but I'd been feeling weird for, a decade. So it was like, whatever. At that point, whenever I would go out on the nitrous, I was so disoriented and high, I would fall all the time, even before there was any injury. I was always in the hospital, stitches, concussions, blah, blah, blah. So like not feeling well. I mean, I was thrown up every day as it was like, but my brother was like, again, he thought I came there and like immediately stopped at the vape shop and picked up more whip bits. Cause he was like, where the are you? It was like all day long. I didn't show up. I got in at like 6 a.m. He's calling me like 9, 10, 11. I'm just like, he definitely just thinks I'm like up. And I didn't go. I just didn't feel well. And he was going to be like, of course you don't feel well. You're either not using and don't feel well, or you're using and we don't want to see you. So like, I don't know, 8 o'clock, I went to go to the bath. I actually was not using, I felt so like uncomfortable that like, I didn't even like hit up the vape store. And I was so wobbly, I couldn't, whippets are heavy. Like I couldn't even carry them. My luggage was already full. So I got up at like, 8 o'clock to go to the bathroom or grab something out of the minibar or whatever. And I fell. Like one leg went this way, one leg went that way. And my phone went flying. And I was like, just confused. I like crawled over, grabbed my phone. I was like, did I take a fucking edible? Like, what is going on? Like, I tried to get up again. Zero control. I called my brother. He was like down the street. I was like, I can't walk. And then he definitely just thought I was like drunk or something. He was like, call your boyfriend, call someone else. Like, why are you calling me? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, and I was like, and then I just started crying. I was like, no, something's really wrong. Like something's wrong. And he came over the house. He like carried me like literally like a baby. My head was over here. My legs were over here dangling. His girlfriend, fiance at the time, pulls up the car. They bring me to Mount Sinai or Cedar Sinai. And I did like a week in the ER where they're testing for MS, ALS, cancer, tumors, different blood diseases. My family was sure it was drugs. So they were like, and they had kind of put me under because like my leg kept like flaring up and they couldn't keep me still in all the machines. So I hadn't even really discussed anything with them yet. They didn't know. I don't even think my family had told them that I just gotten a vaccine because it wasn't even on their radar that this could be a possibility. And I was there about a week. And then they were just like, has there been any issues? And I was like, I'm going to go to the hospital like twice a month. Like there's fluid in my lungs, like a million things can be wrong. And they decided it was the vaccine. And they moved me to a rehabilitation hospital for almost 9 months. So I was there. And at first, like I said, I just was like, any doctor that came and did their rounds, I would be like, so when can I get out? Like,
had they seen cases where people...
So they had no longitudinal studies yet because it was so new. Especially for that specific shot.
So then how were they able to determine it was the shot that actually did
there
that?
is a blood test and they can test for antibodies and they can tell you the side effects from it.
Got it. Also,
this Guillain-Barré has been known for other vaccines to cause paralysis. It was not a right on their radar because it's usually a left or a right side type thing. And it is upper body too, but it's usually like one side or the other. Mine was lower body. It's basically the demyelination of your spinal cord. So there's not a fluid from the brain to like my ankles and feet. There's no longer a fluid message. It usually spreads to the extremities and mine went low. It usually actually starts lower and works all the way up. Mine stopped halfway, but it was on both sides. They'd seen it with like polio, with shingles, with different vaccines. People had it. They usually do heal themselves. It could take weeks. It could take years. I have been on 100% incline at this point, but it's been about 5 years. But I'm not 100% yet because nerves are just the slowest thing to heal. But because of the drug use, they weren't really sure. The nitrous was causing a vitamin B deficiency, which can also demyelinate a spine, but over time. So they didn't really even correlate it to that. But if I was going to continue to use, they were pretty sure I was not going to walk again, which was not a fear for me. This was, it still didn't scare me. I was fine with my lot in life. And then, you know, being there for so long, at some point, like the drugs left my system. You know, they had me on all kinds of IVs and detoxing me anyway. And another thing is like I have some like mental illness, something crazy, but just like I've battled depression my entire adult life, and not necessarily because I had a breakup or lost my job. Just like internally, I would wake up one day, I would have been fine the day before, and the next day I can't get out of bed and I feel hopeless and it's really bad. And then my anxiety and, you know, for me, I was on Prozac. It kind of stopped working. It just, it plateaued. And I was in this like dance where I was like trying to, you know, live by example and self-care and whatnot when I was doing the coaching and, you know, the finding self-love. And I would try to like be busy and get out of the house, which was like good for my depression, really bad for my anxiety. Then I would stay home, terrible for my depression, really good for my anxiety. So I was like just in this really like turmoil position. And then I started just self-medicating, self-loathing. The addiction came in. And it didn't get better.
You said before it was an 8 to 9 month stay in the hospital. You did not use nitrous during that time. So you were essentially abstinent from
So this
your
is
drug
the
of choice. And then what happens?
So I was telling you, I had the mental illness. So also there, by the time when I was using so much, I wouldn't be taking my meds. You know, I just wouldn't. I don't even know where they were. And when I was there every day, they were like making sure they had figured out the right cocktail. We're going to put her on Lexapro. We're going to put her on Wellbutrin. They changed the dose. And every day I was taking it. And I was taking my gabapentin. And I was like on my regimen, you know. And eventually I had like just like a glimpse of clarity, I guess, you know. And my brain started to like not be as foggy. And I guess just being there for so long, like by myself, that wasn't really scary. I'd been by myself for a long time. It more started about other people. I started to like I never really had any shame or guilt. I had no feelings. I started to feel bad. Like, I was the one in the hospital, but I really didn't mind. I was watching TV all day. I was chilling. Like, people were catering to me. It was great. I started to like feel bad for my like family. You know, they were so worried. And every time they called, it was like, you know, just, I started to feel bad that I had like put them through this, or people that I had pissed off and really hated me were starting to like check in. Like people were starting to like just feel really bad for me and like be the bigger person and check in and like that felt nice. So it was a little like reward in that. But I think I started being like a little more introspective and like self-reflective. And I started like reading just stuff. And I think that I started to be like a little more honest with myself. I had nothing to prove and I was awake and I had clarity. I had really didn't have much choice. And I believe like, I think because of my background and like mental health and counseling and therapy, I, was pretty aware that the degree of like growth that I could accomplish was like directly correlated to like how much I could accept the truth about myself and not run from it. Mm. And I literally and physically could not run. Like that, I was just stuck. And I don't know, more people just started coming around, and I started to trust my doctors and like not think they were out to get me. And like the paranoia started to subside when I was on all my meds now properly. And I started to trust the right people, trust myself. And I kind of came to this place where I was like, maybe I won't do drugs anymore. Maybe I started to like myself again. I'd be joking with the nurses. I was in a really ritzy private hospital. A lot of the people there for rehabilitation and recovery mainly were like knee replacements, hip replacements, a lot of athletes. Like I was surrounded by some really cool and inspiring people. And like I said, we were in COVID. So I started like thinking, okay. And I started like logging on to Zoom meetings for AA. And like, I was like, all right, I don't know where the fuck this God guy's been. Like, I'm in a fucking hospital bed. So I don't know if I buy into that, but
heal
like
me.
I had nothing else to do, And I started just like engaging in like little acts of self-care. I had hours before bed. I would like do like face masks or like actually brush my teeth or ask them to give me a shower, where like I was going weeks without showering. Yeah. I don't even know if I had a toothbrush at that point. Like, and like I felt good. The antidepressants were working. Mm-hmm. And if they had been working, or I had been taking them, maybe, whatever. I mean, nitrous is laughing gas. So it was like, it felt good.
Yeah.
It gave me like 15 seconds of release, but it's a stupid drug. So it only lasts 15 seconds. And I would do it from the second I woke up till the second I went to bed. And that's about 1,000 whippets a day.
What was a whippet detox like?
It's like you're very shaky and you're nauseous. And it's like, you feel like you can't get a full breath because pretty much every breath has been with this nitrous. So like you just feel like really tight, you feel nauseous. And it's like, it's just, you just need another one.
Yeah.
Like it's
the urges are very strong.
Right. Like it doesn't feel good.
So you, after 8 or 9 months, how do you end up? So you do all of this stuff in the hospital. You start checking out meetings. You're feeling good. You're back to yourself.
And I'm not into the God thing.
I get it. You're on your meds. So mental health. You're stable.
They let me out.
Okay.
When I had enough. So I was bedridden for a long time, and then they started teaching me how to get in the wheelchair, get out of the wheelchair, go to the bathroom in the wheelchair, get in an Uber in the wheelchair. Mm-hmm. I had a dog, walk my dog in the wheelchair. Once I had enough occupational therapy, they agreed that I could leave. At that point, I didn't want to. I was like, I want to stay here forever.
Yeah.
It was a bubble, and sorry.
You're good.
And I was safe. I was safe there. Like, I didn't have to worry about my craving. There was nothing I could fucking do about it.
Of course.
And so I was already on the acceptance train. Like, there's nothing I could do.
Yeah.
And then I was blessed. I got out. We're still in COVID. Vape shops are not open. There's nowhere to get any nitrous, even if I want, so like kind of by default, I just had to like deal with it. Mm. And then I read this weird quote, and it said, I asked God for like a better ending or whatever. I asked him for flowers, and he sent me rain. And until you understand the value in that, you're not going to understand much. And I was like, I didn't get it at first. And then I was like, I did. I wanted a better life. I wanted whatever at some point in the hospital. And then he'd put me in like the rock bottom instantly. And that forced me to get better and give me another chance and a second chance. And then at some point, I could walk. It was a walker, but I could walk, which they weren't sure of. So I was now seeing like tangible results. And I just I really bought into the God thing. I was like, he's here. I met him. We're good now. And then I just kept praying for him to show me a path. And then I found the sober recovery coach certification. And I've pretty much dove into that head first.
Wait,
helping other people.
Did you go back to did you use again once you left the hospital?
I did use, but it was I was like, that wasn't worth it. It was one of those things where anytime I used, everything got way worse.
Right. How did you go back to? So once you left the hospital,
vape shops were closed. I really couldn't get whippets. I was doing other drugs, and I kind of made you're negotiating yourself. As long as I don't do whippets, I'm all right.
Yeah, but you were smoking weed. You were doing other drugs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, anything I could, because there were still regular drug dealers.
Yeah. What day did you get completely absent from all moon and minor altering substances?
November 20th 2020.
21.
Yeah.
20, because then you had 4 years. Yeah.
Right. Because I was doing drugs and I got arrested.
Okay.
For my first time.
What happened?
So I'm 35 years old, never been arrested. I came from a really nice life of an upper class life.
Yeah.
It was not for me. And I got arrested on a Friday and I didn't get out till Monday. And
what did you do?
I went to get drugs. I was probably 3 blocks from my house. I was in my car. It's 3 blocks from my house. And I wanted to get high so badly, I didn't even make it home. I was doing them in the car. I was probably parked. The officer said I was parked in the middle of the street. He knocks on the window and I didn't even open it. I finished the fucking line on my console. I did another fucking gagger and then turned around and was like, what's up? And he was like,
are you out of your fucking mind?
Get out of the fucking car.
Was it coke or heroin?
Coke.
Okay.
And I was snorting Adderall. I mean,
yeah,
anything I could get my hands on because we were in COVID.
Yep. Now, were you, were you actually able to physically get out of the car?
Well, so that's what I'm trying to explain to him.
Okay.
I'm like, I can't get out of the car. And he's like,
no.
What? And I'm like, you're going to think I'm drunk anyway. Go ahead and breathalyze me, but I'm not getting out of the car. And he's like, you're not the boss here. Get out of the fucking car. And and I was like, okay, I can't walk. And the story isn't making sense. Now I just sound like a crazy person. He's like, what do you mean you can't walk? I'm like, I have a handicap. He's like, I didn't have my cane in the car or anything. He was like, why are you driving? What do you mean you can't feel your feet? What is it's just, he was like, I'm going to tow the car. You're going to jail. And I couldn't call my parents because there was no way I could admit to this. I was back to the lying, back to the, so I was stuck there. And I was like, never fucking again. What brought that on, because I was moving in the right direction. My dog passed away suddenly. I'd had her for 13 years and she was the only consistency I had before the drug usage, through the drug usage, and in the little recovery I'd made. And I was inconsolable. And I was like, I hadn't done any inpatient or any therapy where I was willing or open to it. And then when I got out, I was just kind of doing it on my own. So I really didn't have the support system yet. And I still had not worked through my feelings or processed anything other than the way I was choosing to do it.
Of course.
So I went off the fucking deep end. And then I got out and I have this, now I have this record and now it cost me so much, even more money. I was already in credit card debt from the drugs. I couldn't even take out a new credit card. I wasn't paying any bills, obviously.
Yeah.
So my credit was low. And I mean, even just the tow, they had the car in there for like 3 nights. It was like $1,200. Like, I had to pay the lawyer $5,000. I had to pay the court fees. They fined me like a ton of money. Money I just didn't have. And I was like, and I can't work now. And if anyone Googles me, they're like, why would I hire this chick? It's not even like she got arrested. Because in the recovery world, people hire people with records.
Yeah, of course. It's like
but it was like 4 days ago. Yeah. Like I was like just frantic, but I was on my meds. And so I was like still able to like not be like in the bottom of the hole. Like my brain was still lucid at that, when I got sober.
Yeah. How do you eventually find sobriety? Walk us through like the last day of usage. So I think you said the 21st of November.
The 20th.
Walk
it
us
was
through
Friday.
The 19th.
And I got out
of November.
Monday morning. They let me out of my own recognizance. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what I was up against. And I did not tell my parents. And I was scared. I think that was the first time that fear entered my life. Mm-hmm. Like it finally was on the way up and I fucked it up again. And to me, it seemed like a really big deal. I'd never been and I also had just gotten some people back that trusted me and now I fucked it up again. And so I had only told my therapist and my therapist is from my very first inpatient. So she's known me for years. She was on my first medical team. And she's very good at no judgment. She was like, listen, told me what I was telling you earlier. Relapse is part of the recovery. Here we are today. All right. Don't use the rest of the day. And we'll work on tomorrow. And I went to a meeting that night. I had never gone to the meetings in person. And I was like, okay, I don't trust myself again, So I was taking all the suggestions and doing all the 90 and 90 and blah, blah, blah. My dad, my therapist called my dad and we got me like a sober companion. So I was just pretty much under watch. And I just started to buy into it and claw my way out again. I guess I realized I would blame everyone else. Fuck the police, fuck my parents. They enabled me. These doctors don't know shit. The pharmacy lied to me. The government lied to me. I was angry and I had big victim energy, but I would blame everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I think I realized no matter who I blamed, I was the one with the fucking problem. I still had a fucking problem every fucking day. No matter whose fault it was, I was the one with the fucking problem.
Accountability.
And I had to really just look at I had to be accountable and take responsibility and start doing the fucking steps and making my amends and owning up that my life had become unmanageable and all the places it had, things I didn't even think of. I was unmanageable. I didn't care that I lost my boyfriend. That wasn't unmanageable. He can go piss off. I didn't see the consequence. And then when I realized how much consequence there was and how detached I was and didn't even view it as such and how distorted and delusional I had been, and I was owning this, I had no, I had two choices. I could go back where I now knew all these things had done this to me and I had done this to myself that, like I said, no one can get sober for you. I had to do the fucking work.
What do you think the 3 most vital things were in your first year of sobriety that kept you around, kept you on the straight and narrow and kept you sober?
I think God, staying present and being very mindful and just not lying to myself.
Keeping it in the day.
Yeah.
And not projecting about the future.
Because I would get worried or whatever. And like if I just did one foot in front of the other
Mm-hmm.
and I trusted in God and the path that he had for me, like I just had to get one foot in front of the fucking other,
Mm-hmm.
physically, figuratively, literally. And I would see results. And, you know, it's really, like you said, being honest with myself and holding myself accountable.
I do. Well, I used to do a very bad job in the very beginning of early sobriety, keeping it within the day. I would sit there and be like, oh my God, next Friday I have to do this and this and this. And like, oh my God. And then I start worrying about things that are in the future that haven't even happened yet. And then whatever I'm projecting in my head, I'm 99.9% wrong.
Right.
So
like the outcome could be anything.
Keeping it present is huge. And a lot of people take that for granted.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, you said only 3, but I think also that when I started to be grateful, that hugely
gratitude
put things in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I had lost a lot, but I still like, you know, if I was going to worry about all these things in the future, I don't know why if I put my future thinking couldn't be about opportunity and potential and abundance. So I really did a lot of reframing.
Were you, with gratitude, were you putting pen to paper every day with gratitude? You were?
Yes. So
okay.
The sponsor I picked, she was like, you don't have to call me every day. You have a sober coach that's with you 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't need that. But every single day, I need a gratitude list. At least 10 things. I don't give a shit if it's like your new, like, Valencia bag. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just something. And honestly, it's been running for like years now.
That's
it's in
amazing.
a WhatsApp chat, and all her other sponsees are also
do it
in
as well.
It. So there's like 4 people who just throw in 10 things in. And now we have like years worth. Like if I'm having a bad day, I'll like just scroll up randomly to like a random day. And I'm like, I forgot that I really liked that day.
That's awesome that you're part of that. Because that's community too.
Yeah.
You have surrounded yourself with all people that are doing the same right thing. And it's amazing.
Yeah. And like I said, there's about 4 of us every day posting it. My sponsor, she just got 11 years. And the people in the group, they have stuck around. And I really think the gratitude thing has been helpful because, I remember the first day being like, I'm not doing your fucking homework. Like, and I at that point, the first day I was not grateful for anything.
Of course.
And it's just funny. I guess you also can like track a lot of progress that day. Like at that point, I like wasn't even really wearing shoes because I was in the damn wheelchair. I didn't have to walk. I was like, I would be in like my pajamas and go, nobody cares at the meetings, And then I see like a year later, like I was grateful for like some new pair of shoes I got, which was like 1, I was now excited about shoes again. And 2, like had enough money to buy a pair of fucking shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which was just like a weird, just stupid things.
Those are small things that we take for granted.
Right. Like,
and your story is
I had never
different.
thought about more than like, I have to do this assignment.
Yeah, but that's part of the whole process.
Right.
Really, you get grateful for, like, I would sit there, the disease of alcoholism and addiction, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, ugh. The worst thing you could do is look at social media because sometimes I do that and I'm like, ugh, my life sucks. Like, look at all these people doing all these things. This one's in Mexico. This one's in Greece. My life is terrible, but the gratitude list,
right? And she wants it in the morning, and sometimes I forget or I send it at night.
Of course.
And she's like, she's even big on that. She's like, no, I don't want it at night. I want you to start your day like. Pivot there. That's where I want your mind. Mm-hmm. I don't want you going down the rabbit hole. Right. Comparing myself to whatever.
Yep.
Or, especially if I'm not making you call me. I have no idea if you've had a bad day. I want this, fucking list. And even at first I'd be like, it's nighttime. Who cares? I did your stupid assignment, like whatever. And now it's my favorite assignment.
Yeah. That's amazing. What have you where are you at today, and what have you implemented into your life today to prevent you from eventually, hopefully not from relapsing?
Yeah. I think still staying present, still the gratitude. Also, like earning my money. I don't want to spend it on drugs. It's my money, and I don't want to do that. There's like now that I want to live, there's things I want to do. And also, I think, like, even I tell myself a lot, like, if there is something in the future looming, I always just say, like, this is a problem for future Jess. This is not today. Today's a good fucking day.
Were you codependent on your parents for a while?
Yes.
You said you grew up in like a very privileged household.
And so I grew up very enabled, and there was never any consequences to anything I did. And they fixed everything, and
unlimited bankroll.
Yes. So I was making my own money when I was using. I wasn't, but also like I was never worried there wouldn't be a roof over my head. Like they would not let me starve. I wasn't eating, but like they fixed everything. You know, like had the arrest happened 10 years earlier, they would have bailed me out. They would have went to the judge. They're both attorneys, so they could have fixed it, you know?
Yeah.
They would have paid off my credit. You know, my dad would be like, I don't want you to have bad credit. That's very important, you know, and fix it. So there was no consequences.
How important was it for you to break free from that? Because I hear that a lot from friends of mine who grew up in privileged households. They said, I can't do that anymore because, you know, in sobriety, earning my own money, creating my own, you know, my own career and
aside from the fulfillment and stuff, like it's rewarding and whatnot. I didn't realize how much control they had. When I had my own money, I'd tell them fuck off. You know, it's like it was very their way or the highway. They were lenient parents. They let me do whatever I want, but like there was conditions, you know, and they, even in my drug use, they were enabling. There was no tough love. There was no, you know, they just were trying to fix it, like throwing them into expensive rehabs, ones that were not like tormenting, you know, but kind of putting it off on someone else.
Yeah, of course.
We'll hire her a companion. We'll hire her this. They just, they didn't really actively get involved. And I think they were confused and shocked and hurt because they had given me this like blessed, beautiful life. Like, why was I so sad? They don't, if you don't come from mental illness or addiction, then it just doesn't really make sense to them. You know, and my dad's always been my best friend. He had my back when I was using. He had my back in recovery. I mean, he's, but I took it for granted. I wasn't grateful, and like, I blamed him. You know, he enabled me. He did this. And he was coming from the opposite side. Like, I gave her everything, and I'll still give you anything. What the fuck? But I was, you know, lying and manipulative and selfish, and I didn't give a fuck. So what you're saying, what keeps me sober today is ultimately I was going to these meetings every day, sometimes 3 times a day. Like, I work from home, I work when I want. So I had this big Instagram account on the side. That's how I was paying my drugs. I didn't touch into that. It kind of blew up overnight. It was a meme account. It had like close to 1 million followers. I think then it broke 1 million, but I was selling ads on it, and I was making Cash App, Venmo, cash all day long for 10 seconds of work. So I could go to meetings all day or whatever. And I started to make friends. And some of my family forgave me. I made my amends. I started working with people that I wanted to show up for. And I can't, if I'm drunk at the intervention, it's not going to work. And I really think, like, aside from the God and everything else, what keeps me sober now is I don't want to lose those people. I think the fellowship is what keeps me there. Like I didn't like myself, and these people, I didn't love myself, loved me when I hate myself. When I didn't know what you could love about me, the people in those rooms, they're not your family. They're not mad. They're not shaming you. They're not guilty. Like they just were there. And
it's
even
wild.
if I went out, I came back, they were happy to see me again. Like, and now it's been years, I can barely walk. My walk is still off. And like, they'll be like, kickball this weekend, I'll go to fucking kickball. I'm like, all right, I'll be at kickball. I don't play, but like, I want to see them. Friday night, I don't have to make any plans. I go to my 7:00 meeting and everyone I know is there. Everyone I like, everyone I care. It's, social hour for me. And it's like because I had this big Instagram account while I was using, I didn't feel like I didn't have friends. Even though all my people that mattered to me had cut me off, I had these million people. I decipher between followers and friends. It was like filling a void that was not real. Like, but I had all these, these followers, and I thought I had all these people and I could vent whatever I wanted and people would be liking it and blah, blah, blah. And like, no matter how crazy it sounded, they would be like, that's fucking hilarious. Like they were thinking it's funny. And I don't know, when you start to make real friends and friends that become family, especially when like a lot of my family has not taken me back, they are still angry. And I have to be okay that it's on their terms. I did a lot of damage for years. I don't expect them just because I said sorry or acknowledge it or am better. Let's say I am healthy. They supported me when I was using. They moved me in and out of rehabs. They moved me in and out of sober livings. They were there for me. They were a good family. Now that I'm healthy and sober, they don't want to talk to me. They don't want to go back to the chaos. They're worried the other shoe's going to drop at any time. And I don't blame them. But like when you are no longer invited to Thanksgiving, or like my brother and sister had more kids and I have not met them yet.
Still to this day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it sucks. But at the same time, like if I stay present, it's like, oh, I'm going to this podcast. The sun is fucking shining. Like it's still a good day. But I've also made friends that have become family and I don't want to lose them. And I know the reality. If I go out, they cannot be my friend anymore. They have to put their own sobriety first. And I know that. And I'm living a life now beyond my wildest dreams. So I don't know. As long as I keep taking my meds, that's pretty much my biggest responsibility. Like take my fucking meds. As long as I do that, everything else seems manageable. My anxiety is kept low. My depression I haven't been depressed since like just taking my fucking meds. I would put anything else in my body all day long. I don't know why I can't just take my fucking meds once a day.
Right.
Which is like, that's pretty much my biggest responsibility in life right now.
Right.
Take my fucking meds.
Right.
I got a new dog. My dad's still there. My dad and his wife are coming this weekend, Friday. But, even my dad was here. He hadn't been coming around that much. He answers every call and whatever, but he mainly going out to California because he has 3 grandkids out there. And that's like number 1 now. And last time he came, he was like, I'm like so relieved. You're better. You were better than even before when you were using drugs, and like you have so much experience and you're helping people. Like he was so happy, like so proud.
Yeah.
And then when he left, he was like crying. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm just so happy. This is the first time I'm leaving and not worried I'll never see you again. And I can't let them down. I just can't do it again. Like now I have feelings and I process everything. I have a therapist. I have a coach. I have a sponsor. I go to my meetings. Like there's no way I could get away with that again. Like I do live a life of like rigorous honesty. Like I'm very honest with myself. I'm not perfect, progress, not perfection. And, there's still days I'll sleep in or skip physical therapy or make excuses, but but it's not like the negotiation, like, well, at least I didn't do drugs.
Right.
Like I try to live by example. And also my career has been very fulfilling, and it is never as much if I can't win them over by showing like what we were talking about, the message of hope. Like it can get better. Like,
yep.
And just trying to live by that, all the principles, even though like I understand all them in theory, like really living in action.
Yeah. Did you ever have any kind of lawsuit or anything with Johnson & Johnson?
Yes. So CVS is like pretty much covered. There's nothing I could do. I signed everything.
Yeah.
Johnson & Johnson had some loopholes. They also, at some point afterwards, were taken off the markets for various medical things. They were banking on a lot of the people that the side effects, it ended up killing them. Blood clot was their major side effect. So testimony and going to trial was not going to happen. I have a few lawyers, team of lawyers. That's not the law, my parents do, but who will take this on contingency. If I win, they'll see money. It's a lot of money, but I would get $0 if I didn't do it.
Mm.
They were trying to like scare me and bring it to trial and like tie me up for the next 10 years in this, which was like a big debate of like, do I want to be in the legal system for the next 10 years?
Mm.
Like how much money would make that worth it? The lawyers are sure that will never happen because there's not a jury in the world that wouldn't convict them. One, they'd have to say not guilty. There's all the proof is in the pudding. I have all the doctor's notes and you can see how I walk, and they have, all the history. Mm-hmm. But there's not a single person on any jury who's gonna be like, I'm going with Big Pharma, not the little girl who was paralyzed.
In a wheelchair, yeah.
Yeah. So we are trying to settle.
Okay, so it's in the process right now. Okay.
Yeah. We're waiting on like a good number and whatnot. They're dragging their feet.
Yeah, of course.
Because I didn't really see things in consequence back then. Like I said, I didn't even really care that I was not like,
yeah,
I was so indifferent in life that it's been a little hard for me to like bother, like to be upset about that. I am in a good place. I don't want to be upset. Mm-hmm. I choose to just, be okay. And I am making money. It's, it would be nice. I think they should pay for it, but I'm not living in a life of resentment, and they should get theirs. First of all, no matter what they pay me, they're going to be fucking fine. They're Johnson & Johnson.
Right.
Like, it's not like I'm like going to put them in bankruptcy and they'll never be able to work again. Like,
right. Well, they have a fund for,
they have insurance.
They plan for that and allocate money every year.
It's not going to affect their lives in any way. My life would be better assuming finance or money was my biggest value. Sure. Mm. But like I have a lot of things I value even more than money.
How can people reach you?
My Instagram is my name. It's just Jess Barry, Bari Sorkin, Sorkin.
Well, I'm saying that for like sober coaching, relationship coaching, then you would whole nine. How would they be able to reach you? Just through your Instagram?
Call or text me.
Okay.
I actually don't like doing business through social media because then I end up doing a lot of work for free. People will just ask you a question.
Yeah, I got it.
And I'm answering. And then it's really hard to like.
Yep. Break that out into.
Right. And these people, they think they're your friends. And we do develop a repertoire. And it's hard to be like, all right, well, if you pay me, I'll give you the rest of the blueprint.
Right.
So yeah, I like people to contact me. I work a lot through referrals, and that has been successful enough for me. The crisis case managers get me a lot of clients, and as well as they're like, all the rehabs have kickback, I'll bring them someone for rehab. They send more people to me. I do some groups. So a lot of those people get out and hit me up. But I don't know. Do you want to get my phone number?
No, I can put your email in the description.
Yeah.
And people can reach you in the email.
Yeah. I like to start like very personal, so, it's still a work in progress. Like I said at the beginning, the business part is not of interest to me. So it's been hard to like make a website or
of course.
that and the other. But I show up and like just get to do the coaching part and the counseling part and the interventions and like the actual part of the job that is meaningful to me. That's good enough.
Well, Jessica, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. You did a great job. Your story is going to help a lot of people. And I appreciate you taking the drive over.